fashion and endless streaming, winter meant adapting. You dressed differently, you heated your home differently, and the season came with rituals that don't exist anymore. This isn't about saying the past was better. It's about remembering what made winter feel different back then. Here are 10 things that defined winter and why they slowly faded away. 1. Radiators that banged all night. If you grew up in an old house or apartment, you remember this sound. Radiators didn't just heat rooms, they announced themselves, hissing, knocking, clanging in the middle of the night. They worked using steam or hot water, and once they kicked on, you felt it instantly. Too hot in one room, still cold in another. They disappeared because modern heating became quieter, more efficient, and easier to control. But those sounds, they were winter's soundtrack. 2. Layering wasn't fashion, it was survival. Back then, winter clothes weren't about style. You wore thermal underwear, then a long-sleeve shirt, then a sweater, then a heavy coat that weighed as much as a backpack. Clothes were thick, wool scratched, coats lasted years, not seasons. Today's jackets are lighter, warmer, and designed to look good. But layering used to feel like armor, and stepping outside felt like preparing for battle. 3. The smell of winter heat. Winter had a smell. It was dust burning off heaters for the first time, oil heat in the basement, firewood stacked by the door. When the heat kicked on after months of silence, the house smelled different. Not bad, just winter. Modern systems are cleaner and sealed, but that smell used to tell you, without looking at a calendar, that winter had officially arrived. 4. One warm room in the house. Not every room was heated. Sometimes it was just the living room or the kitchen during dinner. Families gathered where the heat was strongest. Blankets were shared. Pets stayed close. Today, central heating makes every room comfortable, but back then, warmth pulled people together, physically and emotionally. 5. Gloves that never kept your fingers warm. Remember those gloves? Thick, bulky, and somehow still useless. Your fingers froze anyway. Snow soaked through, zippers were impossible to use. Modern gloves use better insulation and materials, but older gloves taught you patience, and the feeling of warming your hands back up was part of winter itself. 6. Winter mornings started in the dark. School mornings were different. You woke up before sunrise, the house was cold, your breath showed in the air while you got dressed. You waited for the bus in silence, bundled up, watching the sky slowly change color. Now, schedules are flexible, homes are warm, and mornings move faster. But winter mornings back then felt quiet, serious, like the day hadn't decided to start yet. 7. Heavy blankets that stayed all season. Blankets weren't decorative, they were thick, wool or quilted, heavy enough to pin you down. Once winter started, those blankets stayed on the bed until spring. No switching, no washing every week. Today's bedding is lighter and easier to clean, but those heavy blankets made sleep feel deeper, like winter wrapped around you. 8. Hot drinks meant something. Hot chocolate wasn't a flavor, it was an event. Cocoa on the stove, soup simmering all day, tea warming your hands, not just your throat. You drank hot things to survive the cold, not because they were trendy. Now hot drinks are everywhere, all year, but back then they belonged to winter. 9. The ritual of getting ready to go outside. Going outside took time, boots, scarves, hats, gloves, then realizing you forgot something and starting over. You didn't just walk out the door, you prepared. That ritual slowed everything down. It made winter feel serious and made coming back inside feel earned. 10. Winter forced you to slow down. This is the biggest difference of all. Winter used to interrupt life. You stayed home more. You canceled plans. You listened to the weather. Without constant entertainment and instant comfort, winter demanded rest, and people accepted it. Today, winter is just another season. Back then, it was a mood. It's late, really late. The kind of late where the house is quiet, but the heat refuses to leave. The air feels thick, like it's sitting on your chest. Your cotton sheets cling to your skin. You turn the pillow over, again, hoping the cool side lasts longer this time. It doesn't. Outside, cicadas buzz like a low electrical hum. Somewhere down the street, a screen door slams. Sleep takes its time finding you. For most of human history, this wasn't something people complained about. It wasn't a failure of technology or comfort. It was just summer. Long before air conditioning became the quiet hero of modern life, people didn't try to beat the heat. They worked around it. They listened to it. They built their lives to move with it. And somehow, they managed. Here are 10 very human ways people lived through and sometimes even loved summer before air conditioning ever existed. 1. Houses that knew what heat was. Back then, houses weren't sealed boxes. They were partners. Ceilings were high, so high you noticed them the moment you walked inside. People knew heat rises, even if they couldn't explain it scientifically. They just knew it worked. Hot air floated upward, away from where you sat, ate, and slept. Windows were everywhere, big ones, tall ones, and they weren't placed randomly. They faced each other, inviting breezes to pass through like guests who didn't need to be asked twice. Even doors helped. Those little windows above them, transoms, could be cracked open so heat had somewhere to go. No switches, no machines. The house just breathed. Cooling wasn't something you turned on. It was something you lived inside. The front porch was where life happened. Before air conditioning, the front porch wasn't charming. It was necessary. As the sun dropped and the worst of the heat finally let go, people drifted outside without thinking about it. Chairs scraped, rockers creaked, ice rattled in glasses. Neighbors waved, then talked, then stayed. Porches where stories were told for the 100th time, where kids played within shouting distance, where disagreements happened and somehow softened by the end of the night. You didn't disappear indoors, you cooled off together. When air conditioning arrived, porches grew quiet. People went inside, and something subtle but important went with them. Sleeping outside was just normal. Some nights, the house never cooled down. It held on to heat like it was afraid to let it go. So people didn't lie awake sweating. They moved. Mattresses were dragged onto screened porches. Sheets were thin. Pillows smelled like night air. Crickets filled the dark. Voices floated in from nearby homes. Fresh air was considered healthy, but honestly, it just felt better. Cooler, lighter. For a lot of people, those nights, half awake, listening to the world breathe, became the summers they never forgot. Fans, ice, and whatever worked. When fans came along, people were grateful, but they learned fast fans didn't cool anything, they just pushed hot air around. So they improvised. A bowl of ice in front of the fan, a wet sheet hung in the window, let physics do the rest. Evaporation, movement, a little relief. It wasn't perfect, but when the heat was unbearable, that breeze felt like kindness. The Iceman meant everything. Before refrigerators, ice was life. Every few days, the Iceman showed up with a block so heavy it took skill just to carry it. Kids hovered nearby, hoping for a chip to fall loose. Adults planned meals carefully, knowing the ice wouldn't last forever. Ice cooled drinks. Wrapped in cloth, it cooled foreheads. It powered homemade cooling tricks and made summer survivable. When refrigerators took over, the Iceman disappeared. So did those small, fleeting moments of excitement he brought with him. Happy and internment. 6. The desert needed its own answer. In places where the air was dry and the sun was relentless, people figured something else out. Swamp coolers pulled hot air through wet pads, dropping the temperature fast. They didn't work everywhere, but where they did, they changed daily life. Before modern AC, this was as close as many people came to real indoor comfort. 7. People dressed like it was hot, because it was. Clothes weren't about trends, they were about surviving the day. Cotton, linen, seersucker, light colors, loose fits, anything that let air move. Men lost their jackets the second it was acceptable. Women wore dresses that didn't cling. Kids ran barefoot, sunburned, and happy without anyone worrying too much about it. Nobody tried to tough it out in heavy clothes. Comfort wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. 8. You didn't fight the day, you planned around it. Without air conditioning, you learned quickly the heat always won. Work started early, really early. The hottest hours were for rest, quiet chores, or doing nothing at all. Baking and ironing waited for dawn or dusk. Afternoon naps weren't indulgent, they were survival. Life moved slower, not by choice, but by necessity. 9. Cold air became an occasion. When air-conditioned movie theaters arrived, people didn't just go for the movie, they went for the cold. Department stores turned into summer refuges. You didn't need to buy anything, just standing there felt like luxury. Cold air became something special, something shared. 10. When all else failed, there was water. And when the heat won anyway, there was water. Sprinklers hissing in yards, fire hydrants opened on city streets, rivers and lakes filled with people escaping the sun, popsicles melted faster than they could be eaten, lemonade spilled onto hot pavement. Cooling off wasn't quiet, it wasn't private, it was loud, messy, joyful. You laughed, you splashed, you got through summer together.